Hi guys, this is Bill from Spencer1984.com with part 3 of building the P2 Oldsmobile Cutlass. So, I didn't make quite as much progress as I'd been hoping last week. I did get some more done. Inside here, I've got the shift lever in place, the seatbelt latches, and some other details painted. But, you can see I don't have the instrument cluster in place. And that's because, like a dope, I misplaced the decal sheet somewheres, and I can't find where I put it. So until I've got that, I can't put the instruments in, I can't put the bezels on it. So that's going to have to sit like that for the time being. I did have more success getting the engine and chassis wrapped up. Get some wiring here. And need to do a little bit more weathering once it's all together, but for the most part that part's done. And got the wheels done with the painted inserts there. I think the chassis is pretty much as we all looked at it last time, so no more updates there. Now, one place I did have some luck was getting the grills redone. The kit comes with the egg crate grill, but the movie car had the vertical slots, so what I did was I cut these out, and then I took the vertical grill from the Cadillac and cut that to shape, bent it in the middle, and inserted that into the holes there. And it took a little bit of massaging, but they actually fit in there pretty well. And here it is with the color code on it. And generally I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I think the grills fit in there nicely and really look like they belong there. I'll go back through and paint them, along with the headlight buckets and the air dam. But as far as modification work, I think I'm now done with this piece. I will say this is not my first choice of paints. I was originally going to go with something from Automotive Touch-Up, but that wasn't coming out right at all, and I didn't want to break to go get an all-new paint, so I just looked over my shelf to see if I could find something close, and I ended up going with a Krylon Brown. And it's not an exact match for GM factory color, but since you only saw the car under fluorescence in a parking garage at night, you couldn't see exactly what color it was, so I can always just say, well, he had the car repainted at some point in its life. So on this piece, that actually worked out pretty well. The body, though, not so much. You see I got a bad spot here in the roof. I got another one here in the trunk, on both sides, all along this front fender. The other side actually came out pretty decent, but I'm going to have to be doing some wet sanding and polishing on these, if not stripping and repainting it. So, since this project ended up going a little bit sideways, and since I've got to let it sit for a while to gas out before I can do any work in it, I did some work on a project I first mentioned a couple of weeks ago, the pre-Ectomobile ambulance from the first Ghostbusters movie. This is the 1A kit, and I filled in the roof, added the lower side trim to it. And this patchwork is based on the work that John Spangler did on his 164th pre-Ectomobile, as you never saw the driver's side in the movie. I liked the way that his looked, so I wrote him, see if he minded if I borrowed it. He said go for it, so I did. This side is based on what we saw in the movie. And I did some work on the interior. The biggest thing was getting rid of all of the gear around the sides and stripping it back to a more or less stock ambulance. So I filled that all in with styrene, made new door panels and such. And one of the big things is anytime you get a car like this, especially, you see Ray paying his $4,800 there, no negotiations. He probably didn't even look too closely at it to see that the former owners would have been using a car like this as a scrapyard. So I just threw a bunch of stuff in the back. And while I was doing it, I decided to have some fun and throw some Easter eggs in there too. So got a couple of land speeder exhaust nozzles, got a flux capacitor, a can of Dinky Dye dog food, and just kind of miscellaneous fun bits and pieces from other movies of that time that I thought might be good to toss in. Obviously did some heavier weathering to make it look like it was in need of a cleanup, as well as the repairs that were mentioned. And same thing with the chassis. Most of these I do pretty clean because they're supposed to be post-restoration. But in this one, got the exhaust pretty well rotted out. A couple of hefty snow tires on the back, which were out of my parts box. The stripped down front tires. This patch panel back here is what's holding the fuel tank in, because the fuel tank that was in this chassis ended up going to my Ecto 1B kit, and this fuel tank came out of a half chassis that was a failed project that I had started more than 20 years ago, and has just been sitting waiting for a good use since then. So it goes to show you, never throw anything out. You'll never know when you'll need it again. And last thing for this kit is I've got the grill, which is out of Monogram's 59 Cadillac, and I replaced the inboard lenses top and bottom. But I wanted to use this one because it doesn't have any of the strobe lights or the divots for the strobe lights. And it did need a little bit of trimming, but in reality it fits in pretty nicely. There we go. So that's it for this week. Not exactly sure what next week is going to bring. It's going to be kind of dependent on how the P2 Cutlass ends up cleaning up. If I can get that finished, great. If not, I might do some more work on this, or I might look through the kit stash to see if anything else strikes my fancy. So check back next week to see what's new. Thanks for watching.